Oh yeah! Like you give people propofol, you take them out of consciousness. It's a general anesthetic, and as you bring them back in, what you can see is when they're unconscious, the brain breaks down into local networks, and then when they become conscious, it reconfigures as a multi-scale small world network, and that of course lines up with Tononi's theory in some pretty important ways. Or a similar way, you can, I forget what it's another anesthetic was used, and I was talking with Brett Anderson about this recently, and you bring people back, and you can see also self-organizing criticality kicking in again. And that's because the firing and the wiring actually mutually constrain each other. And you can actually do this with binocular rivalry too. So you have an image that's presented to two fields of vision, and they can't be held together, and so phenomenologically you switch between them. And then you can see the self-organizing criticality. This area is firing in synchrony, corresponding to seeing the triangle, and then that breaks up criticality, and this area fires in synchrony when you're now seeing it as the square. And you can actually track the consciousness with the flipping of the self-organizing criticality. So it's already being done experimentally. And then the thing about those is they're not neuroanatomically based. They're functionally based. And what's important about those is they actually point to more comprehensive models, because self-organizing criticality and small world network formation also reliably correlate with measures of general intelligence, which supports the argument I was trying to make that there's a deep connection between the machinery of intelligence and the machinery of consciousness. And so you can start to get empirically tractable ways of testing the very theoretical proposals I was bringing out.
taking the damn train in. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Dag nabbit. All right. Welcome. Of course, we're doing a special episode today. This time, we're simul-broadcastaneous in this masterfully over on the X next platform. And if anybody can put their comment from the X next platform into the hive mind with the special X next logo that shows up in StreamYards, you'll get a +7 to today's savings throws. And we have a disclaimer coming before the savings throws. So before you get any saves against the mind control, here's this one.
So let's see. I'm gonna go and flying blind here. I don't have any scripts, so I have ideas, but no script.
And can I just, from you, Alex, just understand, is this a major reason why you don't believe in God? I.e., the problem of evil is for you a major objection to God?
Yeah, call it not an active cause of my atheism, but a sustaining cause. It wasn't the reason why I left the faith originally, but it's one of the reasons that prevents me from re-entertaining the idea. I mean, as we've discussed, there are plenty of seemingly plausible arguments to say that there's a necessary being at the bottom of contingent chains in the universe, that there's a being who sustains things, there's an arbitrary first cause or something like this. But to say that this first cause is a loving God who will preside over the kind of suffering that we see not just in the human context of something like the coronavirus, but also the hundreds of billions.
I just want to take a moment to point out the guy in the bottom right corner of that, because it relates to spell casting. Okay, I'm the village idiot that used to be a wizard, trying to show you guys the moves to cast the spells, and it sometimes looks like that.
Trillions, if you include sea life, animals who are going through suffering that we wouldn't even be capable of imagining.
I speak for the krill. I speak for the krill. Can I eat ice cream all the time? That's not fair. You're Indian fair, but I speak for the krill. Chris. Cow. Chris. Dude. Chris. Cow.
Is this a major reason why you don't believe in?
I speak for the krill.
Oh, this one's probably scary.
Would your father have Venus?
It's really funny. Common thing, actually. You go to a lot of practitioners.
That part where it said gulag is why this is going to get a copyright strike. Thanks, Chris. Welcome, everybody. This is the left heel. Melkor's Glass Lion stream. I'm going to talk about all of those things. The lion one is definitely a copyright thing, so that's going to be at the end there. The left heel has to do with the stuff we'll get into. But first, the disclaimer about savings throws. We have a disclaimer now.
That's what I have to pay attention to. And no, you're exactly right. And Grizz is doing it. It's so funny to me that of all things, he talks about savings throws of mind control And the savings throws on mind control are probably the most mind control-y thing he's doing. I mean, it is just.
There you go. There you go. There's your disclaimer. Now we're doing the savings throws against the mind control. As you know, they're part of the show. This is how those things go. You get to choose between survival, social, wisdom, or heart as the basis for your save against the mind control. I roll the dice. If it's over 10, you take half damage from the mind control. If it's under 10, you take full damage. But remember, Embody, we want what's best for you. Survival, social, wisdom, or heart. Choose. Survivalist with a 4 today. Socialist coming in with the number 9. The number 9 for you. Lovers of wisdom doing great with a pair of 9s for an 18. 18 on the die. Hard folks prime 17 for you. You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Indigo kids, Baker's Coven. Baker's Coven. Baker's Coven for the Indigo kids. And that was some savings throws. And now, what you're saving against. LARPgate. Hi, I'm Grimgris, and today I'm doing now the Muggle lie. There's no such thing as Muggles. Everybody has the wizard inside because words are magic, and we all. Oh no. Okay, you're not a Muggle because words are magic. By lying to you and convincing you're a Muggle, you're being put under a spell, which makes you think you're a Muggle and limits your potential and your actuation. Activation? There's the big Muggle lie, and what it does is it creates a bubble of shared experience because the more people believe in a thing, the more persistent it is without active belief. Like, I can believe in a thing for only so long and then I have to go to sleep. But if another person believes in it, then it can the integrity of reality can be maintained through multiple dreams because we've come together under the spell of different mind control. So we exist in a pocket of intelligibility held together by the magic spell of words and sharing words and how that collates and coalesces existence. Outside of that sphere of intelligibility is the absolute chaos of creation, held together in life by the Ouroboros that eats itself. You're going to need to make your savings throw, one way or another. Remember, Embody, there is no agency.
Like love is worth saving.
What I'm hoping for.
I don't know love.
Now encompasses everything. Does it not?
It's all there is.
It's all there is.
You choose survival, social, wisdom, or heart.
Survival is a nice bottom line. That which promotes survival is good. There's a problem in there too, though, because survival of what? Maybe the survival of human beings is to bind us with machines. Well, is that us? Well, what is us? What is a human being? We're going to get to that in a minute. Remember, survival is supposedly the bottom line, but survival exactly of what? And see, I would argue the Greeks said, well, eternal life is the story going forward.
Hey, hello and welcome to the Melkor's Glass Lion Left Heel stream. I'm General Griswold Gaius Grim of the First LARP Ingression Protocol. Hello! I see the assassins have failed. And also, I'll be giving a card for the show. We do it from 3 decks. This first deck is the red one. The red one. And today's show is very special because a heel in the left and the heel of the left in controlled opposition is a 6 of hearts. A 6 of hearts is the red card of the show. Oh, okay, and this is the stream we're doing, but you didn't finish this.
Kind of like a spiritual exemplification, the biblical model of the light on the hill, right, that can serve as a way of tutoring people.
Wow, it's really hard. It's really hard to click on that because there's four places. If you click, bad things happen. So we did dice throw, and now we do cards. So much magic. Yes. The associated saint in Stephen's deck for Ephraim the Syrian is the 6 of hearts. The first 6 of hearts is Ephraim the Syrian. Despite the lack of super chats, I did manage to star some comments and land them in the StreamYard start bit. They go automatically there if you send it in the super chat. Hint, hint. Okay. Tunji, good to see you. You're taking crit damage today. Weeks says, is he going to cover Moe's Harry Potter chat with Sam? No, but I did see the notification. Zach says, Quizette's Hatterack. Jeremy says, pee. Thanks, Jeremy, for pee-peeing all over the chat there. We always appreciate that. What else do we have? We have this. That's a whole segment. Are we ready for a whole segment? Yes, you've done enough branding to a segment. Son of a. All right, but first.
I believe that if everyone sees what just a few people become when they wholly embrace their gifts, others will awaken.
All right, what we're going to talk about as the whole segment is this piss poor guy over here. This piss poor fella right above my head. He's who is he? Who's he LARPing as right now? Oh yes, Guy the wrestler. Okay, so he comes on Pastor Paul, and they're all talking about how like the kayfabe and the LARP gate and all the mechanics of it, so you can see the model, and they get this little painting model out there, and okay. So he says he understands how to work the crowd, and yet he comes on like this. He doesn't bring his character onto the stream. He's just playing this sad man that doesn't raise his camera high enough with a little paint chart that does a little chart in Microsoft Paint, and it's just it's piss poor and upsetting. But here's an interesting part of that talk. Oddly enough, around the 33rd minute.
In the golden age of wrestling right now, and they just signed right before the Vince allegations came out. They just signed an unprecedented deal with Netflix.
Really?
Starting January 2025, Raw, which is one of the flagship shows, is going to be on Netflix. And internationally, it's actually going to be Netflix is going to be the home of wrestling.
And that shows so many transitions, the transition from cable to streaming. And it's also the fact that it shows a breadth for Netflix that Netflix has been trying to gain. And
well, what do you know? A bread for Netflix. That brings us to the next portion of our show, brought to you by Miriam. But first, let's do a Blue Church card of the show in honor of the appearance of Pastor Paul Vanderclay.
So say we all. Yuck, yuck, yuck. Ho, ho, ho.
All right. Ho, ho, ho. And the Blue Church card of the show. The king of spades. The king of spades. All right then. Meanwhile, much like our good friend Steven Sainted View is doing the fancy pants saint of the show, card of the show for the Six of Hearts after Nasirium. Our good friend Sally is doing virtue cards in the tarot that's not tarot experiment, and here's her some of her commercial for that.
Hello, I am Sally Jo Michelson Cooper. This is an introduction to the complete Virtue Card Project, Series 1. This is the order that the Virtue cards are optimally displayed in, and I will take you on a brief walkthrough through each one, and then I'll be doing another set of videos as a piece by piece of each one. On the far exteriors are the cardinal virtues. On this side we have temperance and fortitude. They're both depicted with the classical props. Temperance having
Phlebas, somebody was looking for your Discord handle. He wanted to start a fight with you, but his comments kept being removed. I don't know. Swing by the Broken Clock Tower Tavern. Woo! Thanks for the new donation, Ups, bringing us ever closer to our Summit Grift goal, where we go from here to Tarpon Springs, now less than 2 weeks away. Before we're at the symbolic World Summit, the funding is now going toward getting me back down off of the mountain and to the house. Back to the house part of the funding is this now. Okay, and then the Sally commercial, we're going to the Miriam segment, but I get to do some branding before we do the Miriam segment. Let's use... are we there yet? We're not there yet.
What's reality? I don't know. When my bird was looking at my computer monitor, I thought, that bird has no idea what he's looking at. And yet, what does the bird do? Does he panic? No, he can't really panic. He just does the best he can. Is he able to live in a world where he's so ignorant? Well, he doesn't really have a choice. The bird's okay, even though he doesn't understand the world. You're that bird looking at the monitor, and you're thinking to yourself, I can figure this out. Maybe you have some bird ideas. Maybe that's the best you can do.
Oh, God, man, I need to trim that off.
Say is there's nothing wrong with your deduction. Your brain works fine. The problem is that you're not submitted to the truth outside of the truth that you want to be true. You're an ideologue.
Right.
You don't care if the baptism of John was from God.
Right. Right.
You're not submitted to the truth.
Right.
You're too concerned with your own position and power and authority.
Right.
Your monarchical vision.
All right. I'm back enough. This is the left heel, Melkor's Glass Lion stream. We're now touching back on this bit here, on this bit over here. Just share this tab. It's sharing. That's good. Here we go.
And it will transition from cable to streaming, and it's also the fact that it shows a breadth for Netflix that Netflix has been trying to gain. And
And as such, we're taking a visit over to our good friend Miriam, who tells us that bread and circuses are a palliative offered especially to avert potential discontent. A palliative offered especially to avert discontent. Maybe that's the type of bread he was referencing.
Also, again, as what happened in the 90s, it will tend to mainstream wrestling again, like it was in the 90s and then sort of dropped out of. And when you look at these religious tides, it's a similar thing. Religions go up and down, similar to the way wrestling goes up and down.
Yeah. So that's at least for wrestling, it has a lot to do with the leadership and the vision, because actually for the past 3 years or so, 2.5, wrestling actually has already been going through a boom period, and you can look, if you look at the ratings, it's consistently the top rated show now. A lot of people who gave up on wrestling have come back in the last 2 years, again, since Vince stepped down and his son-in-law took over, and
Ooh, the dynasty aspect of the wrestling is one of the better ones. Welcome, this is the left heel, Melkor's Glass Lion stream. I want to swing back to the part where he says that Netflix got the deal.
it's happening again. We're actually in a golden age of wrestling right now, and they just signed right before the Vince allegations came out. They just signed an unprecedented deal with Netflix.
Really?
So
And you see, as we gather together on the Broken Clock Tower Discord, sometimes we find things there that blow our minds. Let's see, can we zoom in on this? Not really. That's about as good as it gets. I don't know how to hide the channels anymore. I used to be able to. It was nice. But anyway, sometimes we find a thing that blows our mind, and such a thing is by this Upcycle Club guy. He drops in these things. There's this guy named Sigmund Freud. There's this guy named Edward Bernays. And then there's this guy named Mark Randolph that turns out is Mark Bernays Randolph. And they're all related. And he's who is he? He's the co-founder and first CEO of Netflix. What a coinky dink. And what a great and fabulous thing it does for us to gather on the Discord and share things together.
Now, what'll that asshole think of next? Is anybody got a dime?
Oh, wow, it's so nice. It's so nice to come in and see that the Kofi bot has been tickled and saying things in the chat. Thank you to Garth and no one I know for the funding toward coming back home from the mountain. This is the left heel Melkor's Glass Lion stream. I have this card of topics. One of them is called Estuary Games. And now we were trying to play an estuary game, and then Van Donk came out and donked us saying online estuary. So we're playing something else. We're playing the Flotilla Blind Elephant Groping game. And it occurred to me that so many of the boats are the table upon which they're putting things. And that maybe if we just all riff off of President Foxman's latest offering, that would be okay. Foxman said a thing, let's grope his elephant. Maybe that would be the best iteration and not stepping on what's his nuts' copyright as he sells it to the DEI people. Branding.
I'm not a cat.
Working on it.
Cosmic Buffett says we'll never know how many because only the elephant remembers. This is the left heel part of the stream because Pastor Paul had on this wrestler fella, and wrestling involves faces and heels, and I think those that similarly to the way that wrestling has the archetypal embodiment, that so too we do so on the channel. And golden shadows and those kind of what do you got? Hey, it's Kale from Twitter. Look at the fancy X it makes in his comment on StreamYard. Sir, we need to talk. That's the one. I hope you can stay tuned, sir. We're not to your segment yet. We're going off the faces and the heel. And anyway, this heel was on Pastor Paul, and that's why the stream is called Left Heel, because Pastor Paul is a far left-leaning fella.
A bad guy, a heel champion. So you create a situation wherein it looks like the good guy won, and he's holding the title over his head and he's happy. But then the referee, like there maybe one referee got dropped, and then another came in, and the referee's talking. Then no, actually, we're going to have to nullify the outcome because this and this and this happened. And that's called a dusty finish. Because it's both Dusty and also because Dusty invented it, and he had a dusty finish with the WWE Championship, where he won it but didn't win it, and he never actually won the championship. And Cody's whole
This is a message for Pastor Paul Vanderclay. I saw you had on your show this morning. The horrible things that man said about the kayfabe. And I just want you to know that I'm going to destroy you in the April Fool's Conversation cage match. And boy, howdy do I mean that too, Paul. You're going down in that cage match that leads nicely into the Bosquedale barbecue event. But first, we need to pull an agency card deck of the show for our next segment. What has Kale been up to? What has Kale been up to is the next segment of the show. We'll get to that right after we pull this agency card deck. It's like we do a card for the show with the red card and the blue church, but it's from this deck here, and the card of the show is the 5 of clubs, back in the clubs club with the agency. And thanks to the power of Mostly and the clip stream, we can see that Kale here has made an appearance on Conversation Craft with Christian Baxter Whitey, our glowy friend. And here's a clip of it.
They have had on me is that they've given me, in one sense, like affirmed some of the things that I had sort of grasped at already, but they have helped me understand both my meaning crisis, to use Vervaeke's frame, but also the meaning crisis that I see in my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have helped me both as teacher, but also as student, right? So that I think I can better sense about where they're coming from. Pajot's great because he's taking us all back to the Middle Ages, right? And there's a way of seeing that we have forsaken, the discarded image that C.S. Lewis talks about. He has given me a way of sort of seeing it. It's like I know those things, but man, to hear him just sort of say it, it's great. Like I love that. Vervaeke for different but similar ways, right? They have had on me is.
And this is yours truly thing. Whitey means whitey, man. It doesn't. So a professor, a president, and a doctor all walk into a hive mind. Kale says it's time to cast some magic missiles. What do you guys think? You think so? You think so? I know Doc's not in the room. Wow, you got a lot loaded.
The list? Yes, any of the first level ones.
I'm gonna get a soda. Anyone want one? Hey, Graham, I'm not in the room, right?
What room? I want to cast magic missile.
The room where he's casting all these spells from.
He hasn't cast anything yet. I am though, if you'd listen. I'm casting magic missile. Why are you casting magic missile? There's nothing to attack here. I'm attacking the darkness.
Whoa, you know how many taters you guys would have taken out today? Look at that. Oh, Franco wants the slime.
Slime! What? It's a river of slime!
I think we had enough magic missiles to deal with the river of slime today. Deal with the river of slime. Welcome. This is the left heel. Left heel. We did that part. Melkor's Glass Lion stream. We haven't gotten to Melkor's Glass Lion yet, but we're not going to get there yet because we're first checking in on Demir, finding something over at Grail Country worth everybody's time. And since we did Sally's tarot cards, here's these ones.
The tarot. Why have they not stated the fact that the emperor is alone without a court or retinue? I believe that it is because it is rarely that one lets the symbol, the image of the symbol as such, say all that it has to say through its unique context. One lets it say a little, and one is suddenly more interested in one's own thoughts.
Right.
In what one has to say oneself, rather than what the symbol has to say. Yet the card is specific. The emperor is alone in open air in an uncultivated field with a tuft of grass as his only company. Save for the sky and the earth, the card teaches us the arcanum of the authority of the emperor, although it may be unrecognized, occult, unknown, and unappreciated. It is a matter of this crown, the scepter, the throne, and the coat of arms being guarded, without any witnesses other than the sky and the earth, by a solitary man leaning against the throne with his legs crossed, wearing a crown, holding the scepter and clasping his belt. It is authority as such, and it is the post of authority as such, which is expressed here. Authority is the magic of spiritual profundity filled with wisdom, or in other words, it is the result of magic based on gnosis due to mystical experience. So you cannot, that goes back to that first chapter, first paragraph that I read, where he says
he takes this. I mean,
is it just now getting to the music part, Demir? You sorry son of a. Meanwhile, our good friend Chad the alcoholic wants us to play with his models. And it didn't really do anything for me except it made me think that I should perhaps go over with all of you, get in here. Where is it? No, don't play the trailer. Stop. Just go there, to the free color. Yeah, show them this. Okay, but so anyway, but the thing is, you know how we go along the chakra train. Oh, let's see. Go here. We go along the chakra train. It might be important to know that as you move up the chakras, you go from survival, which is a four-sided, right, and then you go to self, which we'll do as a black hole. A black hole is a six-sided. I can't add multiple dice. Son of. All right. Well. The important part is, as you ascend the chakra tree, the number of sides on the die of interface increases. Down at the survival mode, it's the four we're all familiar with: the fight, flight, food, or And then you move up to the self layer, and there's two more sides to it, and it's an ascension tree that way in the models. So that's what your thing there made me think of, Chad. I don't know what's going on with your model. I didn't look at it close enough. And then then we got another part coming. The salient care basket. Speaking of which, I decided that heel that Pastor Paul had on should be Crow's Nest Guy. Crow's Nest Guy is his wrestling name now.
We all know that there is no agency, any living gent can see doing what is right for me. Is lifting up my bro so he can grow some eyes to see that doing what is right for me increases all our agency.
Boy, howdy, I really overloaded myself with what we're shoving into this show. What we're shoving into this show. We stopped over by Miriam for the bread and circuses, which means we need to decipher the word of the day, secret message, from what she's been using as the word of the day, such as
enervate,
the formal word used for situations in which someone or something is being sapped of physical or mental vigor, vitality, or strength.
enervate,
So, like when Crow's Nest Guy was talking on Pastor Paul about working the crowd and they give him the energy, it's the opposite of that when one does the enervate, when they sap the energy.
enervate,
And then
Cupid,
oh, for the word of the day, you pick Cupid, the Roman god of erotic love. Erotic love. We covered Lupicarius. It's even more precarious.
maladroit,
Is an adjective that means incompetent or very awkward. Very awkward, perhaps. All right, we know where that's going.
inveigh,
Inveigh is a formal word that means to protest or to complain bitterly. Okay, it might be my quirk to
inveigh,
that I think it was
maladroit,
of word of the day to use
Cupid,
as the February word of the day, and I find that doing so
enervate,
it enervated me that they would do that. Thank you, Miriam, for that segment.
This means that the individual's psyche is far from being safely synthesized. On the contrary, it threatens to fragment only too easily under the onslaught of unchecked emotions. While this situation is familiar to us from the studies of anthropologists, it is not so irrelevant to our own advanced civilization as it might seem. We too can become dissociated and lose our identity. We can be possessed and altered by moods or become unreasonable and unable to recall important facts about ourselves or others, so that people ask, "What the devil has gotten into you?" We talk about being able to control ourselves, but self-control is a rare and remarkable virtue.
Miriam is Gigi's professor of defense against the dark arts. I don't know. Miriam is the secret message delivery system to agents in the field. When and where will the Women of the Corner chat air? SCW Weeks. Scheduling is what? What? Women of the Corner scheduling it. Come on. Come on. Come on.
Ducks eat bread.
They do. They do. They like it.
And now one more matter that must be addressed. Gavin Palmer. I think Gavin is like my Starscream, and when I'm Megatron, he decided he wants to try and start some new little game.
Tell me about the place you were born. Yeah, and this is the thing is I want to get better at asking these questions. So like some people might not want to specify exactly the city they were born, but we could, without naming the city, you could talk about it. You could talk about, you know, your early childhood.
Dude, okay, Gavin, first of all, that glows so hard. Second of all, why didn't you bring this idea to me? I could have made it better and given it back, such that you're wanting people to record videos of things they remember, and you're over directing with the pointing at the information people would think the government would want, therefore it glows with the like, where were you born? How did you grow up? All that stuff. But what you do is like, hey, I'm Gavin Palmer. I'm going to host this show called Memberberry Fridays. And you send in something you remember, a story you remember, and we'll put them all on the Discord. We'll vote them up and down. And the top 3 we're going to air on the show we call Memberberry Fridays. And it's just people practicing stories, telling their stories, and preserving what we think was worth remembering. And therefore, you host a show of them rather than have everybody put them out public online. That makes people uncomfortable. And I can't believe you always just start things instead of consulting with people. I don't even know what's up with that. And Foxman gets it. Foxman gets it. Or like the new Super Bowel commercials. I saw the Babylon Bee did a Satan gets me today. Satan, he gets me. Thanks, Babylon Bee. Ryan Taglang says, if the glow colonized you, is there a way to shake it off? Sir, there is very, very little difference between glow and shine, and they can look the same, and you can use it's very complicated, but there's no reason to shake it off you. You don't want it off you. It's healthy. It's healthy. Speaking of glowy things, the next thing on this card of the show, for this show that we're calling the show that's the Melkor's Glass Lion Left Heel Show. 9 months ago, as you can see by looking here, am I showing it? Yes. Our good friend Harley Sealbinder had me on this show like 9 months ago. We did the Fringe Encounter on my channel. You can find it here. Me and this guy, Harley, the road away from porn, who's doing all of the things that like nobody in the corner does as far as like what you should do to make a successful channel. But he's all this road away from porn thing. And and so this segment on the card here is Saltpeter Tulpa. Saltpeter Tulpa. And it goes like this. I heard of this thing they call saltpeter that they put in the food of the people that go into basic training when they do the military basic training, that harnesses the energy of the male thing, and it says, no, tamper the sex drive down. We don't want any boinking in the bunks here on base. No boinking in the bunks on base. We put saltpeter in your food. And that energy is the same one as the being sapped by the weapon that is pornography. I don't see how you can make a whole YouTube career of getting people off of porn if you can't just say, look, dude, what you need to do is you make yourself a little tulpa. You know what a tulpa is? It's a thought form. You put it in your head. It's a little character in your head. You make yourself a little tulpa. This tulpa's a communist that does his hands like this. It does his hands like this. And every time you go and make a little squirt boy, you watch the thing and make the squirt boy, you just vision that tulpa going, yes, be a squirt boy. And that I don't know, there, I solved your career. And now this is the Melkor's Glass Lion stream, and we're finally finishing out the card here, and getting to the Melkor's Glass Lion part, which means you get the special delicious branding, because you're probably out of touch. I'm out of time, but I'm out of my head.
Shake it up is all that we know. Using the bodies up as we go. I'm waking up to fantasies. The shades all around aren't the colors we used to see. Broken ice still melts in the sun, and times that are broken can often be won again. We're so alone, and so really matters to me. Take a look around. You're out of touch. I'm out of time. But I'm out of my head. So I see that Tom just got here in the hive mind, and it reminded me that while you might think that your Discord conversations are relatively private, some jackass could stream them at any time, much like China can look at them anytime because of Discord's affiliation with Tencent. But Tom, I saw you up here. You were the one that had your mind blown by finding out Quetzalcoatl was the god of the wind, born of a virgin who used his own blood to resurrect humanity by going into the underworld. And because you said that on the Discord, it was just on the stream. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? And now we get to the finally part of Melkor's Glass Lion, and the what's left on this card. I'm very excited. I'm glad you could be here with us for it. And here's this.
The frog is a harbinger of dangerous times, because
the way he brought Jonathan Pageau into our awareness was sort of as a bishop of symbolism. I mean, the man now runs the Symbolic World website, and it's all into symbolism. And and I don't know why I can't find these videos on either of their channels, but they brought Peterson came on and he was like, check this out. It's a symbol, and he put it on his head. It's a symbol, and he put it on his head. It's a symbol, and he put it on his head.
special thanks to everyone who's tickled our GoFund us back from the Mountain Phone Fund at the pinned at the top of the Hive Mind chat. Melkor's Glass Lion part of the show. Okay, here it is on the card. On the card, it says St. Louis Arch, Scavengers, and PvP reading Melkor. So the Melkor part is from apparently one of the big fancy writer guys did a thing involving an angel named Melkor. It's basically he's Satan and he plays the harmonica and or something. He plays his own music and the big guy lets it slide for a really long time. The big guy just lets it go on. Okay, that's fine. But it comes to a point where the big guy gets up and he says, that's enough of that. And now the thing is, Pastor Paul once read this, and we have this room on the Discord over here. We call the Scavenger Bounty Board. And if somebody can find where you get the where Pastor Paul read that, we'll give you one of these fancy 7 indigos. Oh, we can't because don't have those superpowers anymore. Our Discord's being powered down. Oh, but anyway, if you can find that clip where that whole segment where he just reads it, I think, if I remember right. The whole Melkor story is worth carrying forward. See, the things that should be in the social memory complex, you don't realize should be in the social memory complex until you remember them later. And that's a memory we should remember. And so maybe that's what we do with the Scavenger Bounty Board. But anyway, similarly, the St. Louis Arch thing. Once upon a time on this stream, we conducted a reality experiment, essentially, that whether or not we could make the St. Louis Arch glow. And then, like as I drove by it on my Wisconsin death trip, Ted and Sherry were reading beautiful poems. Right as I did it, that lined up with me passing by the arch that we made glow. Or experimented, tried to make glow as part of the stream. And the St. Louis Arch part is to remind everybody that even if you're a replay watcher and didn't catch the live stream, the experiments and powered things that we do like that, it's beyond time. It's beyond space and time. It's that level of experiment. It doesn't matter if you're just catching it in the replay because that brings your now into the energetic space of the Hootenanny. And so that's the Melkor's part of the Glass Lion. The Glass Lion goes like this. It goes like this. The Glass Lion is to help me remember it's Mr. Glass. Mr. Glass Goodman. Mr. Glass Goodman. And this is the Mr. Glass Goodman part of the thing. Is Mr. Glass is a character from the Split series of movies played by that one guy whose body breaks all the time really easy. So they call him Mr. Glass. And he's an evil mastermind that creates superheroes by creating supervillains. By being a supervillain, he knew he would create superheroes. Similarly, I think that maybe as a society, we let Lex Luthor. We let Lex Luthor be the guy who runs Amazon for a while, and we let things get really, really bad. And we talk a lot about lions, and because of the Gospel of Thomas line about eating the lion, but there's another aspect of lions that I think is at play. And since I knew it wouldn't get past copyright, I saved it for this part. This is the other thing to consider about lions.
This lion, he's the king of the jungle. Huge mane out there. He's laying down under a tree in the middle of Africa. He's so big. He's so hot. He doesn't want to move. Now, the little lion comes. They start messing with him. Biting his tail, biting his ears. He doesn't do anything. The lioness, she starts messing with him. Coming on, making trouble. Still, nothing. Now, the other animals, they notice this. And they start to move in. The jackals, hyenas, they're barking at him, laughing at him.
They nip his toes and eat the food that's in his domain. They do this, and they get closer and closer and bolder, till one day, that lion gets up and tears the shit out of everybody, runs like the wind, eats everything in his path. Because every once in a while, the lion has to show the jackals who he is.